Welcome to Content Innovations Limited. At Content Innovations Limited, we've been talking about how you create change and 4 key tools that can help you: Kotter, Maslow, Elliott-Kemp and Tupman. And you need to be able to deploy all of these tools with equal measure to create the change that you're looking for. And what we're going to be looking at now is Kotter and his understanding of what's needed to create a change in a process. So the key thing when we're looking at Kotter is there are 8 steps that we need to walk that process through. So step number 1. Step number 1 is really important. We call this a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency is really powerful because that gives us a reason for change. Now, quite often people change that sense of urgency for a sense of panic. And a sense of panic just sends people to the hills. It doesn't create any sort of urgency, any sort of direction. A sense of urgency is things that we can rally to. It's a common cause. We have a new competition in our space. We have a new opportunity and we need to get into that space. We have a threat that we didn't have before. Now, if I create a sense of panic, people leave the organization. We have Maslow hierarchy of needs. We talked about that, and we talk about how people will collapse. They'll collapse down because of the sense of urgency, and there'll be a sense of defeatism. We talked about Tupman, and we talked about how in the Tupman model we go through the curves. If we create a sense of panic rather than urgency, we push people back down again into the storming stage rather than pulling people through to the higher levels. And Elliott-Kemp, the whole matrix of how my stakeholders fit together all falls apart. So sense of urgency, not a sense of panic. The next step that we need to create is a coalition. A coalition is really important. It's a big word for a team. We need to create a team. We need to create a group of people who understand that sense of urgency. Now, you may not have the privilege of creating your coalition. You can't choose your Ocean's 11 to bring them in. But what you have to do, you have to get your team that you have to coalesce around the issue that you're talking about. Now, it's so easy to do that. We find a common enemy and all of a sudden everyone will coalesce. We find a common reason and everybody will start talking about the same thing. That's what we're looking to do here. Create that common villain that everybody can get around. Once I've got that in place, I think I can get to my 3rd step. In my 3rd step, I'm going to create a vision. Now, this is where it starts to go a bit wrong for people because they think it's their vision. No, it's not their vision. If you're creating your vision and you're imposing your vision upon the team, you'll lose your coalition because this is your pet project and nobody wants to get hung with you on your pet project. And their sense of urgency, well, it's your greasy pole that you're trying to push yourself up. And nobody's going to stand behind you on that one. So it's not your vision. It's where we're going to go, what it is we're going to try and achieve, what is the big picture that we're aiming for. Then we get to step 4. And in step 4, we get to communicate. Now again, this is where it starts to break down and we find that people, let me tell you about what I'm doing. This is nothing to do with you, this is the team. The team need to communicate, the team need to tell you what it is. You give them the end goal, that's where we're going to go, this is what we're going to do. Remember the stuff we talked about on strategy? Go and look that workshop up so you can have a look at what we do, the 4 things that we look for. We create an aim, we create a strategy, we create objectives, we create measurables. As a team, this is what we are going to do to change our current state. If they're not talking about this, you have no coalition, you have no sense of urgency, you have no direction, you have no vision. So it's really important. This is the team, not you. Once I'm started to communicate, I then need to create empowerment. Once I've empowered my team to do things, now all of a sudden we can create change, we can create direction, we can create focus. This is really exciting once we get to empowerment. However, the yes but management, oh hang on, wait a minute, that can't happen. If you start creating that, you'll start pushing people away from their self-esteem position in Maslow hierarchy of needs. The Tuckman model, people start sliding down. Elliott-Kemp, the stakeholders will start to move. Yes, but management can't exist here. You've got to have a clear view. What are we doing? Where are we going to go? And you have to empower people with tasks and opportunities. This is what we're going to achieve. This is where we're going. Once I've got that in place, I can then start looking at step 6. Step 6 is about short-term wins. Why short-term wins? Well, we can't wait for the long term. It'll take forever. Change takes around 18 months. 18 months to go from the current state to the new ways of working. And unless we get short-term wins, we can't wait 18 months. I need to see things rolling in now. Once people see those things rolling in, all of a sudden the 18 months becomes feasible and we'll see that change. Now, where does that 18 months come from? I've worked in many organizations. I've worked with many organizations. And in each case, I've seen that when a culture changes, it's around an 18-month journey to a 2-year journey. There's nothing quick about culture change. There's nothing quick about moving forward. But unless you have short-term wins, people just lose interest and they fall away. So you've got to get those quick wins. Then we get to step 7. Consolidate. I've got to bring those quick wins together and I've got to bring them in a way that it fits with the big picture of what we're doing. If people are just doing random tasks and nothing's connected together, all the stuff we talked about in strategy will fall apart. Maslow will fall apart. You'll end up with people going off in different directions. Elliott-Kemp, you'll have too many stakeholder maps to deal with. You'll just be frozen out of any change. Tuckman, people will just get disassociated with the change that you're trying to do, and Kotter's 8 steps will collapse miserably. So you need to make sure we're consolidating those changes. And then finally, anchor those changes. What do we mean by anchor the changes? The new ways of working. This is what we're going to do. We're going to destroy the old ways. So we've got these 8 clear steps that we have to go through. Kotter's 8 steps. It's really, really important. You can't start at step 3. You can't tell them the vision and hope you create a coalition. You've got to create that coalition. You can't create a coalition without a sense of urgency. And you can't start communicating on behalf of the team because the team will just dissolve and they'll fall apart. So let's think about actually those 8 steps against what we've talked about in terms of setting strategy. We can see that steps 1 and 2, these are foundational. The foundational steps. How do I make sure that I've got the rock solid base? When we talked about our strategy, we talked about this as an aim. This is where we want to go. This is what we want to do. This is the big picture we're trying to deliver. The next bit that we're looking at, the next 2 steps, this is about creating our goals. How do we all align? What is it we have to do? Where is the big picture? What is the thing we're trying to get to? And when we think about our strategy, we talk about this is the strategy level. You know, this is to do with, is it people, is it processes? What are we going to do to make this move forward? And then we get to the next step, and we can call these 2 steps here, the actions. And when we think back to our strategy wheel and how we set that up, these are our objectives. This is what we're going to set up, this is what we're going to target, this is the task that we need to deliver against. And then finally we have the last 2. And we call this the new culture, the new ways of working, the new wow. And for us, in our aim, strategy, objectives, we call this the measurables. The measurables. So what we have here is a clear alignment with our strategy model. This is what we want to do. These are the steps we're going to go through. If we start jumping in and jumping out of Kotter's 8 steps, just doesn't work. The only way you're going to get successful change, we start at step 1, we end at step 8. We walk people and we talk people through that process. Now, one of the things you need to understand as a PM, you can be quite easily 5, 6, 7, 8. Your team still hasn't got 1 and 2. So you need to come back down to their level. Where are they? Let's move them together. There's more information on our website. If you're looking to create change, reach out to us. All the details are on the screen at Kotter Innovations Limited. We would love to help you with your strategy deployment. We've done this with several companies before, we've done this in several processes before, and created really successful change. So we look forward to working with you, look forward to hearing from you. Please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. Thank you again for watching, and we look forward to connecting with you shortly. Goodbye.